Sarah Chen wiped the sweat from her brow as she gazed out across the stark Alaskan landscape. The Northern Lights station wasn't much to look at, just a collection of reinforced hangars and weathered buildings huddled against the endless snow. But it was one of humanity's few certified emergency landing sites for extraterrestrial vessels. Not that they got many visitors this far north. The station's warning system shattered the pre-dawn silence. Sarah's datapad lit up with urgent notifications as she sprinted toward the control room. Unscheduled arrival, the automated system announced. Class 3 vessel, critical systems failure, life support compromised. Through the observation windows, she watched a sleek silver ship pierce the aurora borealis, its hull emanating a sickly purple glow that definitely wasn't standard. The vessel's descent was too steep, too fast. Without intervention, they'd crash. "This is Northern Lights Station," Sarah broadcast on all frequencies. "We're tracking your descent. You're coming in hot. Adjust your vector 15 degrees starboard." Her fingers flew across the controls, activating the emergency landing protocols. The reply came in bursts of static-laden standard Galactic. "Cannot. Adjust. Life support. Child. Help." Sarah's heart clenched. There was a kid on that ship. "Copy that. Emergency teams standing by. I'm sending landing guidance now." She wasn't supposed to do this solo, but the rest of the crew was 2 hours out, stuck behind a blizzard. Sometimes rules had to bend. The ship hit the landing pad hard enough to crack the reinforced concrete. Sarah was already running, emergency kit bouncing against her back as she approached the vessel. The hull design was unfamiliar, probably from one of the newer member species of the Galactic Alliance. The airlock cycled open with a hiss of escaping atmosphere. A tall, crystalline being stumbled out, cradling a smaller form in 4 of its 6 arms. The adult's crystalline structure was clouded with stress fractures, but the child's usually translucent body was almost opaque, patterns of darkness spreading through their crystalline form. "Please," the adult's translator crackled. "My child is experiencing catastrophic lattice degradation. Our ship's resonance chamber failed, and without the proper harmonic frequencies." Sarah's mind raced. Crystalline beings, harmonic frequencies. "You're harmonious, aren't you?" From the Seeing Worlds. She'd read about their species, living crystals that maintained their structure through precise vibrations. "Yes, I am First Resonance, and this is my child, New Song. Please, if you have any harmonic technology." "We don't," Sarah admitted, "but I think I can help. Follow me." She led them to her workshop, mind already calculating frequencies and resonances. The harmonious needed specific vibrations to maintain their crystalline structure, like a constant song keeping them whole. Without it, they would literally fall apart. "This isn't standard procedure," Sarah warned, pulling equipment from her shelves. "But I think we can rig something up. An emergency resonance chamber, Earth style." First Resonance watched with desperate hope as Sarah connected a series of speakers to her diagnostic equipment. She'd modified these same speakers last month to help diagnose engine harmonics, with some tweaking. "Hold on, kid," she murmured, carefully adjusting the frequencies. The speakers hummed to life, emitting a complex chord that made her teeth tingle. New Song's crystalline body immediately responded, the spreading darkness halting. "It's working," First Resonance breathed. "But the ship, one crisis at a time," Sarah said firmly. "Let's stabilize your child first, then we'll tackle the repairs." Over the next hour, Sarah fine-tuned the makeshift resonance chamber while explaining the situation over comms to her incoming colleagues. She was definitely violating about 15 different protocols, but with a child's life on the line, bureaucracy could wait. "Your solution is unorthodox," First Resonance observed as New Song's crystalline structure gradually cleared. "Our own engineers would never have thought to use such primitive technology." Sarah grinned. Sometimes primitive works just fine, and sometimes the best solutions aren't in any manual. She checked her readings. New Song stabilizing nicely. Now, tell me about your ship's resonance chamber. I'm betting we can fix that too, even if we have to get a little creative. As the Alaskan sun finally crept above the horizon, Sarah realized this was just the beginning. She had an alien ship to repair, protocols to answer for, and a makeshift resonance chamber to maintain. But looking at New Song's gradually brightening crystalline form, she knew she'd made the right choice. Humanity might not have the most advanced technology in the galaxy, but they had something just as valuable: the ability to think outside the box, to see solutions where others saw only problems. And sometimes, that made all the difference in the universe. Last edited 4 minutes ago. The station's administrative director, Marcus Webb, arrived with the morning crew, his face already set in familiar lines of disapproval. Sarah barely noticed, too focused on the holographic schematics floating above her workbench. The harmonious ship's resonance chamber was far more complex than she'd initially assumed. Technician Chen, Webb's voice cut through her concentration. Care to explain why you've turned your workshop into an unauthorized alien medical facility? Sarah gestured to New Song, now resting comfortably in the makeshift resonance chamber. The young Harmonious's crystalline form had almost completely cleared, though occasional dark patterns still swirled through their structure. Would you have preferred I let a child die while waiting for paperwork? Protocol exists for a reason, Webb insisted. We're not equipped for. Actually, First Resonance interrupted, their crystalline form catching the morning light. Your technician's solution was remarkably effective. Our own medical facilities use far more sophisticated equipment, but the fundamental frequencies she created are perfect for stabilizing juvenile lattice structures. Webb's mouth snapped shut, then opened again. Be that as it may, we still need to address the ship repairs. Northern Light Station isn't certified for advanced alien technology. We'll need to contact the Galactic Alliance for a proper maintenance team. Sarah looked up from the schematics. That'll take weeks. The nearest Alliance repair facility is in orbit around Jupiter. She pointed to a complex series of crystalline structures in the hologram. The resonance chamber isn't just a component. It's integrated into the ship's entire power system. Without it, they're stranded. Then they'll be stranded, Webb said firmly. We can't risk. What if I told you we already have everything we need? Sarah interrupted. She pulled up another hologram, this one showing Earth technology. Look at this. Standard piezoelectric crystals, like we use in engine diagnostics, if we reconfigure them and link them to the ship's existing harmonic matrix. First Resonance moved closer, their crystalline form humming with interest. You believe you can adapt your primitive technology to interface with our systems. Primitive doesn't mean ineffective, Sarah replied. The principles are the same, converting mechanical stress into electrical energy, and vice versa. We just need to match the resonant frequencies. She turned to Webb. All the components are already here. We use them for maintenance on human ships. I'm not asking for special equipment, just permission to try. Webb looked between Sarah, the aliens, and the schematics, his expression torn between protocol and practicality. The liability alone. I'll take full responsibility, Sarah said. Document everything as an emergency repair using existing equipment. Technically, we're not modifying alien technology. We're just building an Earth-standard resonance generator that happens to be compatible with their systems. First Resonance made a sound like wind through crystal chimes, their species' version of laughter. You humans have fascinating ways of interpreting rules. Our engineers would never consider such creative solutions. That's because your engineers have never had to fix a quantum drive with duct tape, Sarah muttered, earning another chiming laugh from First Resonance and a horrified look from Webb. Over the next 12 hours, Sarah's workshop became a bizarre fusion of human and alien technology. She worked alongside First Resonance, their different approaches to engineering creating an unexpectedly effective partnership. The harmonious, precise, mathematical understanding of harmonic physics complemented Sarah's practical, hands-on experience. New Song watched the proceedings with increasing interest, their crystalline form now completely clear. The young alien had a particular fascination with Sarah's tools, especially her modified ultrasonic scanner. "Your devices sing," New Song observed, using their translator for the first time. "Different songs than our technology, but beautiful ones." Sarah smiled, adjusting another crystal array. "Everything has its own frequency. The trick is learning to listen, and then figuring out how to make different songs work together." Webb hovered anxiously as they worked, alternating between checking regulations on his datapad and watching the door as if expecting Alliance inspectors to burst in at any moment. But even he couldn't deny the progress they were making. By evening, the new resonance chamber was ready for testing. It looked nothing like the original, a hybrid creation of Earth crystals, alien harmonics, and what Sarah's colleagues would probably call excessive improvisation. But when they powered it up, the frequencies it produced were perfect. "The harmonics are stable," First Resonance announced, their crystalline form vibrating with joy. "The ship's systems are accepting the new frequencies. This is remarkable." Sarah ran her final diagnostics, double-checking every connection. "We'll need to monitor it for a few hours to make sure everything stays synchronized. But I think we did it." She turned to Webb. "See. No regulations broken, just creative use of existing equipment." Webb sighed heavily. "I'll start the paperwork." "But Chen." He paused at the door. "Good work. Just don't make a habit of this kind of innovation." As Webb left, First Resonance placed a crystalline hand on Sarah's shoulder. The touch sent tiny vibrations through her body, a sensation she recognized as their species' expression of gratitude. "You have done more than repair our ship," they said softly. "You have shown us that there are many ways to solve a problem, and that sometimes the simplest solution is not always the most obvious one." Sarah watched as New Song explored the workshop, their crystalline form now pulsing with healthy light. "Sometimes the best solutions come from seeing things differently," she replied. "And sometimes it takes an emergency to remind us of that." Little did she know, this emergency was about to catalyze changes that would reshape relations between their species in ways no one could have predicted. The corporate investigation team arrived 3 days after First Resonance and New Song departed. Sarah watched their sleek shuttle land through her workshop window, already knowing what was coming. She'd broken no regulations, technically speaking, but corporations always found ways to enforce the spirit of their rules rather than just the letter. Ms. Chen, the lead investigator, a sharp-featured woman named Diana Voss, began without preamble. "Your actions with the Harmonious vessel have created quite a stir. While the outcome was positive, your methods have raised serious concerns." Sarah sat across from Voss in the station's small conference room, the Alaskan sunrise painting the snow outside in shades of pink and gold. "I used standard Earth equipment to help stranded travelers. That's literally what this station is for. You interfaced human technology with advanced alien systems," Voss countered, sliding a tablet across the table. "Created unauthorized modifications to station equipment. Established medical protocols without proper certification. I saved a child's life and prevented a diplomatic incident," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite her rising frustration. "Would you have preferred I let them die while waiting for appropriate paperwork?" Voss's expression remained neutral. "Your intentions were admirable, but good intentions don't protect the company from liability. What if your creative solutions had failed? What if the child had died? What if your modifications had caused a catastrophic reaction in their ship systems? But they didn't. That's not the point." Voss tapped the tablet. "You're a talented engineer, Ms. Chen. Your record shows consistent excellence in standard repairs. But this incident demonstrates a concerning pattern of disregard for proper procedures. The company has decided it would be best to terminate your position." Sarah had expected this, but the words still hit hard. "You're firing me for helping someone. We're terminating your employment for repeated violations of safety protocols and unauthorized modifications of company equipment." Voss's voice softened slightly. "If it helps, The Harmonious left a glowing commendation. I'm sure you'll have no trouble finding work elsewhere, somewhere more suited to your innovative approach. As Sarah packed her workshop, news of her termination spread through the station. Her colleagues stopped by one, offering support, contact information, and in some cases, job leads. Even Webb appeared, looking uncomfortable. "This isn't right," he said, watching her pack her tools. "You did good work here." Sarah managed a smile. "Thanks. Coming from you, that means a lot." "I tried to argue your case," he admitted, pointed out that your solution probably saved the company millions in formal repair costs. But corporate had already made up their mind. They're worried about precedent. "Can't have engineers thinking for themselves," Sarah said dryly. "Might lead to all sorts of innovations." As she loaded the last of her belongings into her truck, the station's communication officer, Raj Patel, came running out into the cold. "Sarah, wait. You need to see this." He thrust his tablet at her. The screen showed a mass of unusual signals detected at the edge of the solar system. These started appearing an hour ago. The pattern, it matches Harmonious ships, but there are dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Sarah studied the readings, her engineer's mind automatically analyzing the harmonic signatures. These were definitely Harmonious vessels, but much larger than the one she'd repaired. "A fleet. The biggest we've ever seen enter the system," Raj confirmed. "And get this, they're not heading for any of the main Alliance stations. According to their flight path, they're coming here." Sarah looked at the data, then at her half-loaded truck, then back at the station where Voss and her team were probably still filling out termination paperwork. "Well," she said finally, "this should be interesting." The Northern Lights station's warning system began to sound again, but this time it wasn't signaling a single ship in distress. Across the Alaskan sky, the aurora borealis began to shimmer with new lights. The approaching Harmonious fleet, their crystalline ships casting rainbow refractions through the polar atmosphere. Sarah's communication device, her personal one, not the company unit she'd had to return, chimed with an incoming message. The translator rendered the crystalline language into text. To the human engineer Sarah Chen, from First Resonance, Chief Ambassador of the Harmonious Confluence. "Your innovative solution to our crisis has sparked great interest among our people. The Confluence Council requests your presence as we establish formal diplomatic relations with your world. Your ability to bridge our technologies may have opened a door neither of our species expected." Sarah looked at the message, then at the growing lights in the sky, then at Voss and her team hurrying out of the station to stare at the approaching fleet. She couldn't help but smile at the irony. "Ms. Chen," Voss called, her voice strained. "I don't suppose you'd be willing to postpone your departure. It seems we may have been hasty in our previous decision." "Sorry," Sarah replied, watching the first crystalline ships descend through the aurora. "I think I have a better offer coming." The Harmonious fleet transformed the Alaskan sky into a crystalline cathedral. Hundreds of ships, each one a masterpiece of geometric precision, arranged themselves in a complex three-dimensional lattice above the Northern Lights station. Their combined harmonic frequencies created an aurora more spectacular than any natural display, turning the polar night into a symphony of light and sound. Sarah stood on the landing pad, her breath frosting in the cold air, as the flagship descended. Unlike First Resonance's vessel, this ship was enormous. A crystalline structure the size of a small city, its faceted surfaces reflecting and refracting the station's lights in dazzling patterns. Global news feeds were going crazy. The unexpected arrival of such a massive alien fleet had every defense system on Earth on high alert. But Sarah noticed something about the ship's arrangement that the military analysts probably missed. The geometric pattern wasn't tactical. It was musical. The entire fleet was positioned to create a specific harmonic resonance. "They're singing," she murmured, just as a delegation emerged from the flagship. First Resonance led the group, their crystalline form now adorned with complex geometric patterns that Sarah assumed indicated their diplomatic status. Behind them came a dozen other harmonious, each one uniquely patterned, and Sarah's breath caught. New song, now radiating health and vitality. Sarah Chen, First Resonance's translator, chimed. The Confluence Council awaits you. Before Sarah could respond, Webb rushed forward, trying to maintain some semblance of protocol. As station administrator, I shouldered. With respect, First Resonance interrupted, their crystalline form vibrating with what Sarah now recognized as amusement. We are not here for administrative protocols. We are here because a human engineer showed us something our entire civilization had forgotten. The interior of the flagship defied conventional architecture. Crystalline corridors shifted and realigned as they walked, each movement generating new harmonics that rippled through the structure. Sarah's engineer's mind was racing, noting how the acoustic properties of each space served both aesthetic and practical purposes. The council chamber was a vast geodesic sphere, its crystalline surfaces arranged to create perfect acoustic resonance. 7 elder harmonious sat in a circular formation, their patterns more complex and deep-cutting than any Sarah had seen before. Sarah Chen of Earth, the central elder's translator, echoed through the chamber. Do you understand why we have come in such numbers? Sarah glanced at First Resonance, who nodded encouragingly. Honestly, not really. I just helped someone who needed it. Used what I had available. Precisely, another elder chimed in. You solved a complex problem with simple tools. You adapted primitive technology to work with advanced systems. You ignored artificial limitations to find a natural solution. Our civilization has achieved great things through precision and protocol. The central elder continued. Our harmonics technology is unmatched in the galaxy. But in pursuing perfection, we lost something vital. The ability to improvise, to see beyond established patterns. First Resonance stepped forward. When you saved my child with modified Earth equipment, you demonstrated that advancement doesn't always mean complexity. Your solution was elegant in its simplicity, effective because of its adaptability, not despite it. Okay, Sarah said slowly, but why bring a fleet? The chamber's harmonics shifted, and Sarah felt a change in the vibrations running through the crystalline walls. The central elder rose, their form catching and refracting light in complex patterns. Because, Sarah Chen, your actions revealed a critical flaw in our civilization's development. We have become too rigid, too dependent on perfect conditions and exact specifications. We can travel between stars, but a simple resonance chamber failure nearly cost a child's life. Our technology is advanced, but inflexible. And now, First Resonance added, many of our people wish to learn this human approach to problem solving. To understand how limitation can breed innovation, how imperfection can lead to discovery. Sarah looked around the chamber, suddenly understanding. This isn't just a diplomatic mission, is it? You want to establish some kind of exchange program. The elder's crystalline form chimed with approval. We propose the creation of a joint engineering initiative. A place where human ingenuity and harmonious technology can combine to create something greater than either could achieve alone. The fleet, First Resonance explained, carries not just diplomats, but engineers, scientists, and teachers. Those among our people who see the value in learning your, what did you call it? Creative solutions. Sarah thought about her packed truck still sitting in the station's parking lot, about Voss and her corporate regulations, about all the times she'd been told to follow protocol instead of following her instincts. Then she thought about Newsong, about the joy of solving problems in unexpected ways, about the possibility of combining human adaptability with harmonious precision. Where do we start? 1 year later, Sarah stood in her new workshop aboard the Harmony Bridge station, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath her. The station, a joint human harmonious construction project, was unlike anything either species had built before. Its crystalline spiral structure combined harmonious acoustic engineering with human adaptability, creating a space that could literally tune itself to its inhabitants' needs. Administrator Chen, A young harmonious engineer named Clear Rhythm chimed from the doorway. "We have an interesting challenge in Section 7. Sarah smiled at her title. After the fleet's arrival, both Earth governments and a harmonious confluence had realized they needed someone who could bridge not just their technologies, but their ways of thinking. Her workshop had become a laboratory for innovation, where human primitive solutions met harmonious precision to create entirely new possibilities. "Show me," she said, following Clear Rhythm through corridors that hummed with harmonics. Their footsteps added to the station's constant symphony, a musical representation of all its systems working in concert. Section 7 housed the station's experimental projects. Today, a team of human and harmonious engineers clustered around a peculiar hybrid device. Sarah recognized the basic shape of a harmonious quantum communicator, but it was jerry-rigged with what looked suspiciously like parts from an old Earth radio. "The quantum harmonics keep destabilizing," Clear Rhythm explained. "Traditional solutions aren't working." Sarah studied the setup, noting how the human engineers had attempted to compensate for the quantum fluctuations with modified Earth technology. It was exactly the kind of impossible fusion she'd first attempted in that Alaskan workshop. "You're both right," she said finally, "and you're both wrong. The harmonious components need perfect stability, and the Earth tech needs controlled chaos. So let's use both." She picked up a tool of her own design, a hybrid of a sonic screwdriver and a crystalline tuning fork. "Watch." As she worked, Sarah thought about how much had changed in a year. The harmonious had learned to embrace imperfection as a path to innovation, while humans had gained a deeper appreciation for precision and harmony. Together, they were creating technologies that neither species could have imagined alone. New Song, now studying both human and harmonious engineering, often visited her workshop. The young alien had become a symbol of this new cooperation, equally comfortable with Earth's primitive tools and their own species' advanced harmonics. "There," Sarah announced, stepping back from the modified communicator. "Try it now." The device hummed to life, its quantum field stabilized by what any proper engineer would consider a completely improper solution. Clear Rhythm's crystalline form vibrated with delight as the readings showed perfect functionality. "I still don't understand how you know these things will work," they admitted. Sarah grinned. "That's the beauty of it. Sometimes we don't know until we try. Your people taught me the mathematics of harmony, but humans taught you the harmony of chaos." Later, in her office overlooking Earth, Sarah reviewed reports from similar projects around the station. Each one represented a small victory for cooperation over protocol, innovation over tradition. First Resonance, now the official ambassador to Earth, had been right. They weren't just building new technologies, they were building bridges between ways of thinking. Her computer chimed with an incoming message. It was from Webb, still running the Northern Light Station, but now as part of the joint Earth Harmonious network of emergency response facilities. The corporate bureaucrats had been forced to adapt when it became clear that the future belonged to those who could blend different approaches rather than enforce rigid standards. "Thought you'd want to see this," his message read, followed by an image that made Sarah laugh out loud. Someone had finally replaced the station's old emergency protocol sign. The new one read, "In case of emergency, follow proper procedures. If procedures fail, consult Engineer Chen's Guide to Creative Solutions." As if on cue, the station's harmony shifted slightly, its crystalline structure adapting to a new configuration. Sarah felt the vibrations through her desk, a perfect blend of precision and adaptability, just like the partnership that had created it. "Emergency alert," the station's AI announced, its voice a harmony of human practicality and harmonious music. "Unidentified vessel approaching. Systems indicate unusual energy signatures." Sarah was already moving, her hybrid toolkit in hand. Some might have seen another crisis, but she saw another opportunity. After all, the best solutions often came from the most unexpected problems. "Ready for another adventure?" she asked Clear Rhythm, who fell into step beside her. The harmonious engineer's crystalline form chimed with excitement. As you humans say, bring it on. As they headed toward the latest challenge, Sarah reflected that this was perhaps the greatest lesson both species had learned. The universe was too vast, too complex, for any one approach to handle everything. But together, combining precision with improvisation, tradition with innovation, they could face whatever the cosmos threw at them. And somewhere in that infinite space, there were undoubtedly more species waiting to learn the same lesson, that sometimes the best harmony comes from embracing a little chaos.